Nothing in your life has ever been as random as it looked. Maybe unpredictable, yes. Maybe confusing. Maybe painful enough to make you question whether anything underneath all of this actually makes sense. But random? Not quite. Because once you begin to understand energy, not as some vague spiritual buzzword, but as the living force underneath, thought, emotion, matter, movement and experience, you start noticing a deeper pattern running through everything, a hidden current, a kind of invisible architecture. Suddenly, what once felt like coincidence starts to feel more like resonance. What once felt like chaos starts revealing rhythm. And what once looked like disconnected moments begins to show itself as part of one continuous conversation between your inner world and the reality around you. Look around for a second. The chair beneath you, the air around your skin, the thoughts moving through your mind right now, even the feeling in your chest as you hear these words. Every bit of it is energy, not metaphorically, literally. Life is vibration. Matter vibrates, sound vibrates, color vibrates, your body vibrates, your mind does too. Ancient traditions understood this long before modern language tried to explain it. Hermes spoke of vibration as a foundational force. Buddha pointed to the way the mind spills into the body as sensation. Aristotle called the energy of the mind the essence of life. Different voices, different eras, same quiet truth. Existence is not sitting still. Everything is moving. Everything is transmitting. Everything is affecting everything else. And once that realization really lands, something shifts inside you. You stop seeing yourself as a passive person trapped inside a hard, fixed world. You begin to see that you are participating in a field of energy at every moment, sending, receiving, amplifying, absorbing. Your thoughts are not weightless little shadows. Your emotions are not random weather. Your inner state is part of the signal. And whether you've been conscious of it or not, that signal has been shaping how you move through life all along. So the real question isn't whether energy is influencing your reality. It already is. The real question is whether you're ready to understand it deeply enough to work with it on purpose. A lot of people move through life like they're walking through a solid world made only of objects, events and circumstances. Bills, traffic, conversations, disappointments, deadlines. Everything feels separate, heavy, final. But underneath that surface is something far more fluid. What looks solid is mostly space. What looks fixed is actually vibrating. Even your body, which feels so physical and personal, is made of cells, atoms, particles, waves of probability moving in patterns that appear stable, only because your senses interpret them that way. In other words, you are far more like music than stone, more like a field than a machine. And once you start seeing yourself that way, life stops feeling like a pile of random events crashing into you and starts feeling more like a mirror made of energy, constantly responding to your state of being. That can sound abstract at first, until you notice how obvious it already is in daily life. Walk into a room after two people have been arguing, and you feel it without anyone saying a word. Meet someone whose presence is calm, grounded, clear, and something in your body loosens before your mind even explains why. Hear a certain song, and your whole emotional state changes. Think a fearful thought, and your chest tightens. Think a loving thought, and your system softens. None of that is imaginary. Energy moves through thought, then into feeling, then into sensation, then into behavior, and eventually into the kind of reality you keep meeting. Buddha said that what arises in the mind begins flowing as sensation in the body. That matters more than most people realize, because it means your inner world is never staying inside. It is always becoming physical in some form. And that's where a deeper understanding starts to grow. Your life is not just being shaped by what you do. It is being shaped by the frequency from which you do it. Same action, different energy, different result. A person can say, "I want abundance," while vibrating with fear, lack, resentment, and self-doubt. And life receives the deeper signal before it ever responds to the words. Another person can hold a clear intention, feel it as already possible, nourish it with trust, and begin aligning with opportunities that seemed invisible before. Not because the universe is playing favorites, but because resonance is a law woven into existence. Like attracts like. A tuning fork only answers the note it can recognize. Reality in many ways works like that too. Saint Germain spoke about the power of I am, because identity carries frequency. Every time you say, I am exhausted, I am unlucky, I am always behind, you are not just describing yourself, you are tuning yourself, you are instructing your system, you are telling your energy what pattern to stabilize around. On the other hand, when you say, I am life, I am capable, I am guided, I am connected, something begins to reorganize. Not overnight maybe, not like magic in a movie, more like the slow turning of a ship that eventually changes its entire destination. And maybe that's why so much of life feels random before energy is understood. Because when you can't see the signal, all you notice is the outcome. But once you see the signal, the outcome starts making a lot more sense. Once you realize life responds to vibration, another truth starts becoming impossible to ignore. Your thoughts are not innocent, not harmless, not empty little mental noise floating nowhere. They carry direction, they carry charge, they carry weight. Philosophers across centuries kept circling around this in different language. Kant suggested that the mind is not just passively observing reality, but actively shaping how reality is perceived and understood. Lao Tzu warned that thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, and character becomes destiny. Sartre emphasized responsibility, the burden and gift of being conscious enough to shape your lived experience. Different traditions, same pulse underneath. What moves through your mind is not separate from the life you end up living. Now that doesn't mean every single passing thought instantly manifests into physical form. Life is more subtle than that. Human beings are messy, layered, contradictory creatures. One bright thought in the morning doesn't cancel years of fear, and one bad day doesn't doom your future. But repeated thought mixed with emotion becomes a pattern, and patterns become frequency. Frequency becomes familiarity. Then familiarity starts filtering what you notice, what you expect, what you allow, what you chase, what you avoid, and what you unconsciously believe you deserve. So when someone says, I don't know why this keeps happening, sometimes the answer is hidden inside a pattern so normal to them, they don't even hear it anymore. Like a song that's been playing in the background for so long, it feels like silence. Take something simple. Love and hate do not feel the same in the body because they are not the same kind of energy. Peace and worry don't lead you into the same choices because they don't generate the same internal climate. Gratitude opens attention, fear narrows it, hope expands possibility, shame collapses it. Those are not just poetic ideas, they are lived frequencies. Plato spoke about the soul as containing different forces in tension with one another: reason, spirit, appetite, always interacting, always shaping behavior. That ancient insight still fits. Part of you reaches upward, part of you reaches outward, part of you reaches for comfort, and whichever voice becomes dominant begins setting the tone of your life. So the question becomes, which part of you have you been feeding most? Albert Camus and Seneca, strange as it may sound, help clarify this from two very different directions. Camus looked at existence and saw absurdity, uncertainty, no guaranteed meaning handed down from above. Yet his answer was not despair. His answer was conscious defiance, choosing meaning anyway, choosing joy anyway, choosing inner dignity anyway. That is high frequency living in a very real sense. Seneca, from the Stoic side, taught that mastery begins when you stop letting chaos inside your mind run your life. Negative emotions, in that frame, are not sins. They are disturbances, static in the signal. Not something to hate, but something to understand and outgrow. Put those two together and a powerful picture emerges. You are not here to deny difficulty, and you are not here to be ruled by it. You are here to become aware enough that your energy is no longer being hijacked by every passing storm. And this is the moment where life starts feeling less random in a very personal way. You begin noticing why certain people keep showing up in your life, why certain rooms drain you, why some seasons feel heavy and others strangely light, why one version of you keeps recreating pain while another version keeps sensing there must be more. You see that your reality has not just been happening to you, it has also been echoing you, not in a simplistic, blame-filled way. Some things are painful and unfair and deeply human. But even within that truth, your energetic posture still matters. Your relationship to thought matters. Your emotional default matters. Your self-concept matters. Because what you repeatedly feel, speak, imagine, and embody becomes the atmosphere in which your future begins to form. So how do you actually work with energy instead of just admiring the idea of it? That's where everything becomes practical. Because high vibration is not about pretending to be positive while your soul is quietly drowning. It's not about forcing a smile, repeating empty affirmations, or acting spiritual while your body is exhausted and your mind is overloaded. Real elevation begins with alignment. Mind, body, emotion, intention, moving in the same direction. Think of a river for a moment. When debris blocks its flow, the water doesn't disappear. It becomes stagnant, heavy, murky. Human energy works in a similar way. When your system is clogged with chronic stress, poor rest, emotional suppression, inner conflict, and environments that constantly drag you downward, your natural vitality gets distorted. Not gone, just obstructed. That's why physical care matters more than many people expect. A balanced, nourishing diet is not merely about appearance or discipline, it is fuel for frequency. Rest is not laziness, it is repair. Sleep is not something to squeeze in after the important things are done. It is one of the most important things because the body restores itself there. Exercise is not only for strength or aesthetics, it moves energy, clears stagnation, stabilizes mood, and reconnects you to aliveness. Ancient traditions spoke of prana, of kai, of life force moving through the body. Modern language may sound different, but the lived reality remains. When your energy flows more freely, you think more clearly, feel more deeply, and respond to life with more coherence. A tired mind will call life meaningless when what it really needs is restoration. From there, the inner tools begin to matter even more. Meditation quiets the noise so you can hear your own signal again. Energy healing practices like Reiki, acupuncture, or sound work aim to restore balance where the system has gone dull or dissonant. Affirmations help reshape identity when used with sincerity rather than performance. Visualization gives the mind a pattern to organize around, a felt blueprint instead of a distant wish. Gratitude softens the nervous system and opens perception. Nature recalibrates you almost without asking permission. A walk through trees, sunlight on your skin, stillness near water, something ancient in the body remembers itself there. And perhaps that is why these practices matter so much. They don't add some foreign power to you. They help remove what has been interrupting the power already present. David Bohm's vision of reality as an implicate order, an unseen, enfolded intelligence beneath visible experience, offers a striking image here. Maybe what you call your life is only the unfolded surface of something deeper, a pattern emerging from levels of order your ordinary senses cannot fully track. That would explain why inner change often comes before outer evidence. First the field shifts, then the form, first the seed, then the branch, first the note, then the song. So when you begin raising your vibration through conscious living, you are not escaping reality. You are participating in its deeper structure. You are becoming more coherent within it, more available to possibility, more able to recognize what matches your highest intentions and what no longer belongs in your field. Soon enough, your choices start changing without so much force. You become less attracted to what depletes you. Certain conversations no longer fit. Certain habits feel too heavy to carry. Certain places that once felt normal begin to feel like wearing clothes that no longer belong to you. And on the other side of that, more clarity appears, more synchronicity, more inner steadiness, more moments where life seems to answer right when you finally asked from the right place. Not because you've become superhuman, not because pain disappears forever, but because you are no longer broadcasting confusion while begging for peace. You are no longer watering fear while praying for freedom. Your energy starts speaking more honestly, and life, in its own mysterious way, begins responding with the same honesty.